Nahjul Balagha quotes of Imam Ali a.s. saying 73 to saying 113 by Commander of Faithful People. Saying 73. Whoever wants to be a leader should educate himself before educating others. Before preaching to others he should first practice himself. Whoever educates himself and improves his own morals is superior to the man who tries to teach and train others. Saying 74. Every breath you take is a step towards death. Saying 75. Anything which can be counted is finite and will come to an end. Saying 76. If matters get mixed up, then scrutinize the cause and you will know what the effects will be. Saying 77. Zira bin Zamra Zababi, known as Zira Sudari, was a companion of Imam Ali. When, after the martyrdom of Imam Ali, he went to Damascus, Muawiyah called him and asked him to say something about Imam Ali. Zira, knowing that Muawiyah hated Imam Ali, intensely tried to avoid this topic, but Muawiyah forced him to speak. Thereupon, Zira said, "O Emir, I had often seen Imam Ali in the depth of nights, when people were either sleeping or engrossed in amusements, he would be standing in the niche of the masjid, with tears in his eyes, and he would beseech Allah to help him maintain a pious, a virtuous and a noble character and to forsake the world. He would then address the world, saying, O vicious world! Be away from me, why do you come in front of me like this? Do you want to allure me? Allah forbid that I should be allured and tempted by you and your pleasures. It is not possible. Go and try your allurements on somebody else. I do not desire to own you and do not want to have you. I have forsaken you thrice. It is like divorcing a woman thrice, after which act she cannot be taken back as a wife. The life of pleasures that you offer is of a very little duration. There is no real importance in what you offer, the desire of holding you is an insult and a humiliation to sober minds. Sad is the plight of those who want to acquire you. They do not provide for the hereafter. They have to pass through a long journey over a very difficult road towards a sat destination. Zira says that when he stopped, there were tears in the eyes of Muawiyah, who said, May peace of Allah be upon Abul Hassan Ali bin Abi Talib, he was undoubtedly like that. Now tell me, Zira, how do you feel his separation? Zira replied, My sorrow and grief is like that of woman whose only child has been murdered in her lap. With this remark Zira walked out of the court of Muawiyah and left the city. Saying 78. After the Battle of Siffin, somebody asked Imam Ali whether they had been destined to fight against the Syrians. Imam Ali replied, If by destiny you mean a compulsion, physical or otherwise, through which we are forced by nature to do a thing, then it is not so. Had it been an obligation of that kind, there would have been no question of reward for doing it and punishment for not doing it. When you are physically forced to do a thing, like breathing, sleeping, eating, drinking, etc., then there can be no reward for doing it and no retribution for not doing it. In such cases nature forces you to do a thing and you cannot but do it, then the promised blessings and punishments in life after death will have no meaning. The merciful Lord has given his creatures, human beings, complete freedom to do as they like, and then prohibited them from certain actions and warned them of the consequences of such actions, his wrath and his punishments. These orders of Allah carry in them the least trouble and lead us towards the most convenient ways of life, and the rewards which he has promised for good deeds are many times more than the actions actually deserve. He sees people disobeying him and tolerates them not because he can be overruled or be compelled to accept human supremacy over him. He did not send his prophets to amuse himself or provide amusement for them. He did not reveal his orders without any genuine reason, nor has he created the galaxies and the earth without any purpose. The universe without plan, purpose and program is the idea of infidels, and the pagans, sorry will be their plight in the leaping fires of hell. Hearing this, the man asked Imam Ali, Then what kind of destiny was it that we had? Imam Ali replied, It was an order of Allah to do it like the order he has given in his holy book. You are destined by Allah to worship none but him. Here, destined means ordered, it does not mean physical compulsion. Saying 79. Acquire wisdom and truth from whomever you can, because even an apostate can have them, but unless they are passed over to a faithful Muslim and become part of wisdom and truth that he possesses, they have a confused existence in the minds of apostates. Saying 80. Knowledge and wisdom are really the privilege of a faithful Muslim. If you have lost them, get them back, even though you may have to get them from the apostates. Saying 81. Value of each man depends upon the art and skill which he has attained. Saying 82. I want to teach you 5 of those things which deserve your greatest anxiety to acquire them. Have hope only in Allah. Be afraid of nothing but sins. If you do not know a thing, never feel ashamed to admit ignorance. If you do not know a thing, never hesitate or feel ashamed to learn it. Acquire patience and endurance because their relation with true faith is that of a head to a body. A body is of no use without a head. Similarly, true faith can be of no use without attributes of resignation, endurance and patience. Saying 83. A man hypocritically started praising Imam Ali, though he had no faith in him, and Imam Ali, hearing these praises from him, said, I am less than what you tell about me but more than what you think about me. Saying 84. Those who have come alive out of a bloodbath live longer and have more children. Saying 85. One who imagines himself to be all-knowing will surely suffer on account of his ignorance. Saying 86. I appreciate an old man's cautious opinion more than the valor of a young man. Saying 87. I wonder at a man who loses hope of salvation when the door of repentance is open for him. Saying 88. Imam Muhammad Baqir says that Imam Ali once said, there were two things in this world which softened the wrath of Allah and prevented its descent upon man. One has been taken away from you, hold the other steadfastly. The one which has been taken away from men is the Holy Prophet, and the one which is still left with them and which they must hold steadfastly is repentance and atonement for sins, because Allah at one place in the Holy Book addressed the Holy Prophet and said Allah would not punish them while you were among them nor while they were asking for forgiveness. Surah Anfal 8:33. Saying 89. Whoever keeps in order his affairs with Allah, follows his orders sincerely, Allah will also put his affairs with men in order. Whoever makes arrangement for his salvation, Allah will arrange his worldly affairs. Whoever is a preacher for himself, Allah will also protect him. Saying 90. He is the wisest and the most knowing man who advises people not to lose hope and faith in the mercy of Allah and not to be too sure and overconfident of immunity from his wrath and punishment. Saying 91. Like your body, your mind also gets tired, so refresh it by wise sayings. Saying 92. That knowledge which remains only on your tongue is very superficial. The intrinsic value of knowledge is that you act upon it. Saying 93. Take care and do not pray to the Lord, saying, Lord, I pray to you to protect and guard me from temptations and trials, for there is none who is not tempted and tried. But beseech him to guard you against such temptation as may lead you towards wickedness and sins, because Allah says in his holy book, know that your wealth and children are temptations. Surah Al-Anfal 8:28. It means Allah tried people through wealth and children so that it may be tested as to who is content with what he gets honestly and who is thankful to Allah for the position he is placed in with regard to his children. Though Allah knows them better than even they know themselves, yet those trials and tests are for the purpose of their realizing and knowing those deeds which merit reward or which deserve punishment. There are some people who love to have male children and hate daughters, and there are some who simply crave for wealth and hate poverty. Saying 94. Imam Ali was asked the meaning of being well off or well provided for. Imam Ali replied, your welfare does not lie in your having enormous wealth and numerous children, but it rests in your being highly educated and forbearing, and in your being proud of your obedience to Allah. If you do a good deed, then thank Allah for it, and if you commit a sin, then repent and atone for it. In this world there is a real welfare for two kinds of people. One is the person who, when commits a sin, atones for it, and the other is anxious to do good as much as possible. Saying 95. Importance of the deeds that you have done with fear of Allah cannot be minimized, and how can the deeds which are acceptable to Allah be considered unimportant? Saying 96. Nearest to the prophets are those persons who have to those prophets and obey them. Saying this, Imam Ali cited a passage from the Holy Quran, best liked by Abraham, and nearest to him were the people who obeyed him. He further said, that the present times are the times of our Holy Prophet and his faithful followers. The best friend of our Holy Prophet is he who, though not related to him, obeys the orders of Allah, and his greatest enemy is the man who, though related to him, disobeys Allah. Saying 97. Imam Ali was told of a Kharajite that he got up in the night to pray and recite the Holy Book. Imam Ali said, to sleep with having sincere faith in religion and Allah is better than to pray with wavering faith. Saying 98. Whenever a tradition of the Holy Prophet is related to you, scrutinize it, do not be satisfied with mere verbatim repetition of the same, because there are many people who repeat the words containing knowledge but only few ponder over them and try to fully grasp the meaning they convey. Saying 99. Imam Ali heard somebody reciting the passage of the Holy Quran, we belong to Allah and our return is towards him. Imam Ali said, how true it is. Our declaring that we belong to Allah indicates that we accept him as our master, owner and Lord. And when we say that our return is towards Allah indicates that we accept our mortality. Saying 100. Some people praised Imam Ali on his face. He replied, Allah knows me very well, and I also know myself more than you. Please, Lord, make me better than what they imagine me to be, and please excuse those weaknesses of mine which they are not aware of. Saying 101. To secure for you fame, credit as well as blessings, the help that you give to men in need, should possess the following attributes, whatever its extent, it should be considered by you as trifling so that it may be granted a high status, it should be given secretly, Allah will manifest it, and it must be given immediately so that it becomes pleasant. Saying 102. Your society will pass through a period when cunning and crafty intriguers will be favored by status, when profligates will be considered as well-bred, well-behaved and elegant elites of the society, when just and honest persons will be considered as weaklings, when charity will be considered as a loss to wealth and property, when support and help to each other will be considered as favor and benevolence, and when prayers and worship to Allah will be taken up for the sake of show to gain popularity and higher status. At such times regimes will be run under the advice of women and the youngsters will be the rulers and counselors of the state. Saying 103. Imam Ali's garment was very old with patches on it. When somebody drew his attention towards it, he replied, such dresses, when worn by men of status, make them submissive to Allah and kind-hearted towards others, and the faithful Muslims can conveniently follow the example. Vicious pleasures of this world and salvation are like two enemies or two roads running in opposite directions or towards opposite poles, one to the north and the other to the south. Whoever likes to gain the pleasures and pomps of this world will hate austerity in life, which is necessary to gain salvation. Reverse will be the attitude of a man desirous of achieving eternal bliss. One has to adopt either of the two ways of life, and as they both cannot be brought together, a man has to choose one of them. Saying 104. Nawf bin Fizal al-Bakali, the famous scholar of the early Islamic days, says that one night he was with Imam Ali. In the middle of the night, Imam Ali got up from his bed, looked for some time at the stars and inquired of Nawf whether he was awake. Nawf said, I got from my bed replying, yes, Amir al-Mu'minin, commander of the faithful. I am awake. Imam Ali said, Nawf, those are the fortunate people who adopt piety as the principle of their lives and are fully attentive to their welfare for the hereafter. They accept bare earth as the most comfortable bed and water as the most pleasant drink. They adopt the Holy Quran and prayers as their guide and protector, and like Prophet Jesus Christ Isa, they forsake the world and its vicious pleasure. Nawf. Prophet David Dawud once got up at such an hour in the night and said this was the hour when prayers of everyone who prayed were accepted except of those who forcibly collected revenues or who were scandal mongers or were persons in the police force of a despotic regime or were musicians. Saying 105. Those who give up religion to better their lot in life seldom succeed. The wrath of Allah makes them go through more calamities and losses than the gains they gather for themselves. Saying 106. There are many educated people who have ruined the future on account of their ignorance of religion. Their knowledge did not prove of any avail to them. Saying 107. More wonderful than man himself is that part of his body which is connected with his trunk with muscles. It is his brain, mind. Look what good and bad tendencies arise from it. On the one hand it holds treasures of knowledge and wisdom, and on the other it is found to harbor very ugly desires. If a man sees even a tiny gleam of success, then greed forces him to humiliate himself. If he gives way to avarice, then inordinate desires ruin him. If he is disappointed, then despondency almost kills him. If he is excited, then he loses temper and gets angry. If he is pleased, then he gives up precaution. Sudden fear makes him dull and nervous, and he is unable to think and find a way out of the situation. During the times of peace and prosperity he becomes careless and unmindful of the future. If he acquires wealth, then he becomes haughty and arrogant. If he is plunged in distress, then his agitation, impatience and nervousness disgrace him. If he is overtaken by poverty, then he finds himself in a very sad plight, hunger makes him weak, and overfeeding harms him equally. In short, every kind of loss and gain makes his mind unbalanced. Saying 108. We, Ahlul Bayt, chosen descendants of the Holy Prophet, hold such central and balancing position in religion that those who are deficient in understanding and acting upon its principles, will have to come to us for reformation, and those who are overdoing it have got to learn moderation from us. Saying 109. A divine rule can be established only by a man, who, where justice and equity are required, neither feels deficient nor weak and who is not greedy and avaricious. Saying 110. Suhail bin Hunayf Ansari was a favorite companion of Imam Ali. At the time of Imam Ali's return from Siffin, he died at Kufa of the wound sustained in the battle. His death left Imam Ali very sad, and he said, even if a mountain loves me it will be crushed into bits. It means people are tested with my love, and to prove it they have to pass through loss and calamities. Saying 111. Anyone who loves us Ahlul Bayt must be ready to face a life of austerity. Saying 112. No wealth is more useful than intelligence and wisdom, no solitude is more horrible than when people avoid you on account of your vanity and conceit, or when you wrongly consider yourself above everybody to confide and consult, no eminence is more exalting than piety, no companion can prove more useful than politeness, no heritage is better than culture, no leader is superior to divine guidance, no deal is more profitable than good deeds, no profit is greater than divine reward, no abstinence is better than to restrain one's mind from doubts about religion, no virtue is better than refraining from prohibited deeds, no knowledge is superior to deep thinking and prudence, no worship or prayers are more sacred than fulfillment of obligations and duties, no religious faith is loftier than feeling ashamed of doing wrong and bearing calamities patiently, no eminence is greater than to adopt humbleness, no exaltation is superior to knowledge, nothing is more respectable than forgiveness and forbearance, no support and defense are stronger than consultation. Saying 113. When a community is composed of honest, sober and virtuous people, your forming a bad opinion about any one of its members, when nothing wicked has been seen of him, is a great injustice to him. On the contrary, in a corrupt society to form good opinion of any one of them and to trust him is to harm yourself.